Yeah, see that? I destroyed all of Twitter. What a cesspool. Disgusting. They tried to make me think this game was bad. It's not great in some ways. What's good, y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to the story mode. So, these last couple of weeks, I decided, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to hop back into Dragon Ball Sparking Zero a little bit, because I just remember that first month, those first couple of weeks, that was all me and my boys were doing. Just hopping in, playing online, fighting each other, me online, trying to get my rank up, you know, enjoying all of the what-if stories that the game had to offer. I was having a super good time. And then it kind of just felt like after that initial first month, I was good. It just felt like I was just kind of finished with the game for a while, and I don't know why I felt that just kind of end for it. I don't know how that happened, but you know, I decided after the initial DLC came out for Dragon Ball Daima characters, I decided, you know what, let's try them out, let's see what the meta's looking like, and man, I hopped back in and I had a great time, you know. I've been finding people, surprisingly, that are still within my rank, because I thought for sure I was going to be running into nothing but absolute sweats, the ones that never put the games down, the one that never stopped grinding. I thought that's the only people I was going to end up running into, and I was going to get my ass whooped. But surprisingly, I've been having plenty of really good and really fun fights online, and it made me realize how much I missed this game. Like, it was just such a good time. And then, you know, after another hour or two, I realized what the problem was. Oh, okay, so it's just fighting online and just getting my rank back up, because that's really all there is to do right now in this game. And granted, you know, it's kind of a weird situation that we need to have a more in-depth discussion about, because, you know, that's all we were able to do in the original Budokai Tenkaichi series, minus the online. So it's very strange that everybody felt the same way about this game, in which there's nothing to do, you know? But regardless, I enjoy this game a lot, and I definitely see potential for it to revitalize itself and make itself more well-known in the positive space once again, right? Recently, they dropped an anniversary trailer for over 200 characters, because with the Daima characters coming out in full, we now have technically kind of over 200 characters in the game. Cool, dandy, that's alright, you know. At the end of that, though, they revealed that there are more DLC packs to come, right? They didn't specify what we're going to end up getting, but they subtly hinted at the idea that more content was coming to Sparking Zero. And that's awesome. That's great, because if there's anything that needs more content desperately, it is Sparking Zero. Because why in the world did it feel like, for over the course of the last year, Xenoverse 2 was still getting more content, more love, and just more attention than Sparking Zero? That's absolutely absurd, right? That all being said, I decided to go ahead and write down just a little list, a couple of ideas that I had to essentially help fix the reputation of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, to put it in a more positive light in the eyes of the public, right? Because this game fell off very hard for a lot of people, to the point where they are still just complaining about the fact that there's nothing to do, there's nothing going on, and that this game was a big flop. And it's just kind of been an argument over the entirety of this last year, right? Because the game's been out for pretty much almost a year, as of a few weeks from now, right? So let's talk about a couple of ways that I feel could help fix Dragon Ball Sparking's reputation. The first thing I would do personally is introduce a very, very hefty cosmetics update, right? That was one of the weirdest things about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero to me, is that they introduced this idea that we were going to be able to utilize all of these different cosmetics to be able to change the outfits of Goku and friends and things like that. And, you know, we kind of can, you know. The problem is that most of these characters don't have any options for cosmetics whatsoever, right? We have like a halo that we could put on any character. Some characters have different outfits, specifically like Goku and Z Goku and things like that, where he could change into his worn down gi, or his original gi and things like that. But for the most part, it feels like heavily lacking in the cosmetics space, right? And I feel like people would appreciate it very much if we got a hefty enough cosmetics update where we got a shop heavily dedicated specifically to cosmetics. We could make it so that we have something to work towards, right? We have a dedicated cosmetic shop. You see all of these different like little things for like earrings for the characters, or halos, or devil horns, or wings, or just a lot of fun little things. And then of course dedicated outfits for specific characters, whether they're canon or not doesn't really matter. We need to put these characters in more outfits, right? People have been begging for forever to get a game where we could play as Goku in his bomber jacket, man. It's absolutely ridiculous that they couldn't just take the model, put the bomber jacket on from the Cell Saga, and let us have that, because that bomber jacket is genuine fire. Okay, people would be wearing that in real life and nobody would bat an eye, because it's nice. It's a nice looking jacket. We should be able to put Goku into that, you know? We should be able to have more casual and fun outfits for Vegeta, right? We have his End of Z outfit that we could have easily implemented into the game, in my personal opinion. I think that looks fire on him, okay? We would have loved a situation in which we could put Piccolo in his driving outfit from, you know, the filler episode where him and Goku learn how to drive, okay? It's just stuff like that that we need to be implementing more often. It's things like that that we want to be able to work towards, and so that when we go online, we have a more unique presence, it feels like. You know, I want to be able to play with my version of Goku, my version of Gohan, my version of Vegeta or Piccolo or whoever else, right? So I don't think it's all that ridiculous to ask for something like that, which is why the first thing I would do is implement that super massive update for cosmetics so that we have an entire shop dedicated to that, or just update the general shop that's in there already with more stuff to buy, because most people by now have bought everything in the shop. And that was just kind of it. Like, why is that shop not updating? Let's go ahead and get that bumping, okay? And once we have that, people have more stuff to work for, and now their Zenny is actually going to something, right? Because we're just collecting a bunch of Zenny for what? After that, and I know that there's a lot of legalities and stuff like that that goes into a process like this, but me personally, I would just have to find a way to make it happen. A super heavy music content update, right? Now, nothing wrong with the music that's present in game right now. However, if there is some way we could get our hands on any music from all of the other Dragon Ball games and things like that, and implement that into a music pack, or just a way that we could implement those into the shop so that we could work towards having those as battle themes and things like that, that would be an amazing and tremendous update, because nothing would make me happier than being able to play Dragon Ball Sparking Zero and fight to any track from Budokai Tenkaichi 2 or 3. Like, those just, you could fight me on it all you want, bro. Those games have some of the best soundtracks in Dragon Ball history. Like, fight me on it all you want. But nothing would make me happier, which is why whatever legal process we got to go through, whatever payments we got to make, whoever we got to make happy, we gonna do it. And we gonna implement that big ass music pack. Because my god, fighting the breakthrough would make me so happy. Hell, even Ultimate Tenkaichi, man. What's going on? Like, please, Raging Blast 1 or 2 music would go sick as hell. Right? So, yeah, I would definitely put a little bit more of an emphasis on getting more music available in this game to be able to fight to. Because music is incredibly important in Dragon Ball, and they've made that very clear, right? And if we're honest, you know, I don't see anybody really feeling the music too crazy heavily in this game, not nearly as much as they did before, you know? Not that the music is bad, but those tracks definitely aren't the same. Right, so let's be honest with ourselves. Let's get that music pack going in some way, shape, or form, or the major music update, because that would make a lot of people happy, I think. After that, we got to start getting more heavy into the real updates. Firstly, we need access to more what if characters. Why the hell do we not have that? Right, one of the biggest controversies, one of the biggest things that was talked about, and this could be a spoiler. It's been over a year at this point. This game's been out for a full year. There's no way not everybody has discovered this yet or been spoiled on it already. Why do we not have access to Gohan Black? What's up with that? What's going on? Yeah, let's go ahead and get a handle on that so we can make it so that we can play as Gohan Black. There's absolutely no reason as to why we don't have access to this character. And then in a similar vein also, we should be getting more What If characters in general, not just things that are already programmed into the game, but if we can have something non-canon like Dragon Ball Z Broly, we should be able to play as characters with, you know, non-canon transformations and things like that, such as, for example, Super Saiyan Bardock, Super Saiyan 3 Bardock, as introduced in Dragon Ball Xenoverse. Why don't we take a little bit of inspiration from Xenoverse and do some more in that category, right? Why don't we have access to these characters? Why don't we have access to just more general What If characters? Y'all spent so much time working on the animations for that card game and stuff like that. Why don't we have characters from that, right? I don't know. It just makes plenty of sense to me to introduce actual What If characters, especially because we have an entire story mode dedicated to What If scenarios. So, yeah, we should definitely get cracking on that. But that's one of the major things that I would implement first, because I know a lot of people would be very, very, very happy with the inclusion of a playable Gohan Black. He's literally in the game. All you gotta do is make him playable. I can't imagine that's that hard of a task. In a very, very similar vein, yeah, we would be getting a very, very major update for the story mode, right? Because, you know, as cool as the idea of all of these What If scenarios are, they don't dive as deep as we could get, right? I mean, granted, don't get me wrong, Goku's What Ifs are absolutely insane. We love Vegeta's What Ifs, we love Trunks' What Ifs, Gohan's What Ifs. They go absolutely hard as hell, but we're greedy. And I think we should be getting more, especially because we have so many arcs that were just never touched upon, right? We have so many characters in the story mode that are playable that just end off their stories way too early. Like, I don't even think Piccolo goes into the Buu Saga or something like that. There's a couple characters that just don't go far at all, and they just, why? These characters were like present at some point during these arcs, and they just have nothing to do. We can't change it so that Piccolo actually doesn't get turned to stone in a What If scenario, and he's actually there to help fight Dabura and stuff like that. He's able to train with everybody and get a little bit stronger to keep up more. I don't think that's insane. I don't think that's crazy. Right? On top of that, you know, you have characters that have just never been touched upon. You know, we could have had an entire full thing for Trunks. You know, we have future Trunks, and that's cool and dandy, but, you know, we have a whole storyline for Trunks, you know? We didn't even touch upon the potential of Goten, or... Okay, I'm not gonna sit here and act like Goten needs a What If story, but you get what I'm getting at, right? I feel like we could have followed a little bit more. And then next to that, I would really love to add all of the new content to the What If stories, right? All of the What If scenarios that could be so cool, from Dragon Ball Daima, from Superheroes, from the actual What If scenarios. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like that story mode can use some major updates, because we're lacking severely on that. And you guys have all of the voice actors and everything ready to go on payroll. Let's throw in some more scenarios for the What Ifs, you know? Maybe let's get some more characters out of it too. Why not? I just think it makes a lot of sense, personally. And then lastly, I'm saving this one for last because it's the most obvious one. Let's get more characters. Why do we not have Chi-Chi? Why do we not have General Tao? Why do we not have Mira and Toa? What is going on? There are so many characters, from OG Dragon Ball to Z to GT to Diamond, that are just not available. Why do we not have Super 17? That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. We need to get on that immediately. At this point, if it's got to be a pass, y'all are getting greedy, but honestly, I feel like people might be into that. Okay? And on top of that, obviously, maps. My God, we got one new map. A full year after release, we only got one new map, and it's from Daima. Cool? Dandy? How do we not have Kami's Lookout? This has been a battle stage in almost pretty much every single Dragon Ball game in history, and we don't have it for the biggest one yet? How? That's incredible. No, we've got some serious work to do on the content that's available. So, you know, that's definitely one of the biggest things I would do to get the ball rolling. For the most part, though, I think I've said my piece. I'm sure all of this here is stuff that's been said throughout the year, throughout the course of this game's lifetime so far. Hopefully, they end up acting on it. They do say that there's more content to come. I have to imagine that they're listening to some capacity, and if they want their player base to spike back up at any given time, it's a pretty easy task, if I'm honest. You just got to introduce more characters, more content, and you're good to go, right? I don't think we're asking for all that much, you know? We need just new environments to fight in, you know? New characters to play with, more events, more single-player content for the story. Y'all have no problem. Well, I mean, obviously there's different teams involved here, but it's been no problem supporting Xenoverse 2 for well over a decade. I think Sparking Zero should have had that times 6 by now. Crazy that it hasn't, but you know what? Maybe that's just me. So that just about does it for this one. I've been missing Sparking Zero. I love it as a game a lot, and I really do hope that it gets the updates and content that it deserves. But that being said, I'm passing the mic over in your direction, and I want you guys to tell me everything that you're thinking in the comment section below. Do you agree that Sparking Zero could definitely use a lot of the content updates that I mentioned here? You think it could definitely benefit from that, and that you could see yourself coming back to it if it got any or all of these updates available to it? Or is it too late for you? You don't care about Sparking Zero. This game is dead, done, in the water for you, drowned to hell, right? Tell me everything you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I'm always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock, so I'm gonna go ahead and do just that. I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm Gonzo. Thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye! To my last dream.